Before we get to the public comment, I want to make a comment. I want to comment on and thank our Public Works for all the work they've done the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Absolutely.
David Hutchins and his crew have been hard at it, and last count was 15 water leaks. They cleared the streets, they did that, and congratulations to our police department. They solved a murder in 3 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've had a busy week. We've had a busy couple of weeks here, and the city staff sometimes goes unnoticed, but I've heard I got 6 different compliments, either text or direct calls, and I wanted to share that and let everybody know that people are appreciative.
Well, and talking with people up in Greensboro and Winston-Salem, which I recognize they're bigger, I get it, but we're very lucky here, very lucky.
And we actually had to help the state out.
Yes.
They on some of the main streets, they didn't have enough drivers, so not only were we taking care of our stuff, we were taking care of theirs too. I hate Representative Biggs in here to hear that, but okay.
I'm glad we didn't have to do Salisbury. We've torn our trucks up.
Actually, that's on the agenda tonight. Okay, we are moving ahead. Item 6, public comment period. If anybody would like to come up and address the council, now's the time to do so. Not seeing any, we'll move ahead. Council, you have the consent agenda in front of you. Are there any items you would like to pull out and discuss further? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Heath.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda approved. Okay. John Evans.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. The first zoning case on your agenda concerns a property located at 312 West Ward Street, and the request is to rezone the property from a conditional general commercial designation to an office apartment, OA6 designation, which is a general district. The applicant in this case is Compliot Kids in care of Miss Catherine Thomas. The property owner is Shepherd's Way Properties, LLC. So just to briefly give some history on the property, this was rezoned from OA6 on the majority of the property. There was a small sliver that was RA6, a high-density residential designation. So this rezoning happened back in 2017, and that was for a large child care center. That's why we have the B2 conditional zoning request. So all of the notices have been mailed by the applicant. We also mailed notice as far as staff is concerned, and this has been properly advertised and posted on with signs posted on the property. So there's one parcel identification number that's part of the property. It's just under an acre of land. Of course, it is in the city limits, and the child care center that was occupying the property is no longer there, so it is a vacant structure. This is also in the Center City planning area, Tier 3, which is the most outlying of the 3 tiers that we have in our Center City areas. We'll see on the map in just a moment. So in terms of road classification, both West Ward and North Church Streets are local city-maintained streets, and they both serve a combination of residential and non-residential land uses. The use, as mentioned, would allow, it's a general district, so it would allow all uses permitted by right, subject to compliance with city land use and zoning requirements. There's no site-specific development plan or site plan considered with this request. And number 2 and number 3, you do have the descriptions of those districts on the screen and in your reports. I won't read those, but they are there just for your information. So if we look at what the OA6 district allows, it allows for a variety of residential land uses. Those include single-family, two-family, or duplex, and multifamily uses, institutional uses, places of worship, schools would be examples of those, and some lighter commercial uses such as hair salons. What the district does not allow is heavier commercial uses, like restaurants, which are called eating establishments in the ordinance, motor vehicle-related uses such as repair, sales, and rental, or retail businesses. So none of those heavier uses that you see on a corridor like North Fayetteville Street would be permitted in this district. And so as mentioned, the property is within Tier 3 of the Center City Planning Area. That regulates certain issues a little bit differently than some other areas within the city's jurisdiction. So, for instance, it does allow on-street parking to count towards parking requirements. It also has a maximum amount of built-upon area that can be on a property if it's a newer development or there's some change to the development. So we have the property that is it's directly in the very center of the map. It's outlined in blue. It has the label of B2CZ on the corner of West Ward and North Church Street. And so if we look at the surrounding zoning, we have the purple area that's across the street, across North Church Street, and a little bit further to the south, southwest. That is industrial zoning. You have the orange area that's multifamily or higher density uses and zoning. And then you have OA6 just directly to the north on North Church Street. The red is the commercial area off to the east on North Fayetteville Street. And you also have, this is showing you a closer view, you also do have some parcels that are across West Ward Street that have a more intense B2 commercial zoning on them. You also see the railroad is adjacent to the property off to the east across North Church Street. So this shows you the property being in the Center City Tier 3. The darker green is Tier 2 when you get a little bit closer into the city center. You'll also see that it's outside of the floodplain that's to the north, where you see that blue area to the north. Nothing really unusual about the topography of this site compared to some of the other surrounding properties. There is city water that you see with the blue line along both streets, as well as city sewer along both streets. The aerial map shows you a view of the property with the surrounding land uses, both residential and non-residential. This shows you a little bit more of a two-dimensional view of the property, and the large building on the kind of the upper right-hand corner, that is Randolph Health, the hospital facility. This is the subject property from West Ward Street near the intersection of North Church Street. This is from West Ward Street. If you're looking on the western side of the property, this is looking at the property from North Church Street. If you're looking back towards Ward Street, this is looking east on West Ward Street. So this would be up towards the intersection of White Oak Street and eventually North Fayetteville Street in that direction. Then this is looking west on West Ward Street. You can see some residential and non-residential uses in this area. There's a multifamily development that's immediately adjoining the property on the right. This is looking north on North Church Street. And then this is just showing you some perspective. If you're standing on the very front of the property on North Church Street and you're looking to the east, this shows you the proximity of the hospital. So we look at the land development plan designation for the property. It is part of the city activity center. It's in the central small planning area and part of the primary growth area on the growth strategy map. So we had, in staff's opinion, 6 goals and policies that we believe are supportive toward the request, while none we felt were necessarily negative toward the request. If we look at where we have our proposed consistency and reasonableness statement, that is that the land development plan designates the property. It's part of the city activity center. We have a mix of compatible land uses. You saw those on the photos and the maps. Those include office, institutional, and residential uses. It's also in the primary growth area. We believe the request is reasonable given the size and physical conditions of the property. Having it previously zoned OA6 also, we believe, makes it reasonable, and also allowing some continued investment into the property with some flexibility in terms of what sort of office use or other OA6 use could be on the property. Just also, of course, having this be not as intense of a non-residential use as some other uses could be that are in the area, such as B2 or industrial, also make this more compatible with those residential uses in the area. So that's just to summarize our consistency statement. The planning board did review this request and recommended approval, and also staff is recommending approval on the application. So the applicant is here, but I'll be glad to take any questions if you have them at this time.
Question from Mr. Evans? Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
This is a public hearing, so if the applicant would like to make a statement, please come up.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
If you'll state your name and
Yeah.
sign and print it on the
Yes, okay.
pad.
My name is Jennifer Lon. I work with Complete Kids Care Partners. I'm the Regional Vice President of Real Estate and Facility Management. I want to congratulate Mr. Sugg also. I really enjoyed hearing you speak. I'm only sorry that we didn't come sooner to Asheboro to be under your leadership, but we are excited to be coming here. So yes, we're here. We're hoping to come and take over that building and bring some pediatric therapy to the area. We did send out the notices that we were asked to send out, and we also did go meet the neighbors in the area there that will be our neighbors and that we'll be hopefully working together with. So we felt comfortable with them, and we feel really good about coming to Asheboro and hope that you will have us, and we will be a great community member. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
How many
Why don't you
people you
begin with
employ?
this? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Phil.
How many people will you employ?
How many people do we employ? So we will have 2 full-time, like front desk people, and then when we bring the children in, when they come in, they will have one-on-one therapy. So it just depends on how many kids we have, but we are looking to hire local. We hire local therapists and BCBAs, which are the professionals that work with children with autism.
Like,
I was just curious how long you've been.
What
doing
year we
this
started,
work.
was it
ADA was 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Okay.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak? Okay. We'll move to the deliberation stage. Council? Any opinions, ideas, motions?
I'll make a motion, we accept this.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Skeen. Motion that we accept the request to rezone the property. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cheek.
Mr. Mayor, just to ask, we are correct in interpreting, you also are adopting as written the consistency statement, so that the clerk's
Yes.
not putting words in your mouth.
I beg your pardon, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next up, this is kind of going to be a flip-flop kind of thing, new council members, so I think Mr. Evans is going to explain this. I need to open a legislative hearing.
Yes, sir.
And a question, yeah, and case number RZ 26-02. Take it away.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this request is also a legislative hearing for a general district rezoning. This is the I-2 General Industrial District involving properties at 4 different addresses: 4306, 4308, 4400, and 4402, US 220 Business South with 1 parcel identification number. So just as a point of introduction, because of this being a zoning hearing and then the annexation item that comes next, just want to walk through the process and the timeline of this. So now that the legislative public hearing is open, staff will present a summary of the application for the initial city zoning to be applied to the property, but that is if the annexation request is approved. And so as part of that item, after the staff presentation, the applicant will be invited to speak on the zoning application. Then any others that are in attendance will be invited to speak on the zoning application. And then the public hearing will be closed, but council will move into the deliberative phase to have their initial deliberation, and then ask to continue the deliberation until after item 9A is heard, which is the annexation request, in order to have some jurisdiction over the decision on the zoning amendment. And then the next, when this comes up on item 9A, Mayor Trogdon will open the public hearing for the annexation request. Mr. Leonard will present the petition for the annexation to answer the question on transferring the jurisdiction from outside of the city in Randolph County to within the city of Asheboro. So at that point, the petitioners and any city residents will be invited to speak on the annexation, and that process is laid out in the North Carolina statutes. Council will then be asked to vote on the annexation request, and then if the property is annexed, and this would be at that point within the city's jurisdiction, then at that point, the council will be advised to reconvene to deliberate on the initial zoning application and then vote and act on that. And then no action would be taken if the property is not annexed into the.
We all good?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure, okay. All right. So I'll be happy to move on now, so, yes, sir, okay. So the applicant in this case is Frank Edmondson IV, who is the president of Schwartz Properties LLC, who is also the property owner of this property. The existing zoning is in Randolph County's jurisdiction. There is a heavy industrial conditional zoning that they have, this classified as. And what's proposed is an I-2 general industrial, as I mentioned. Just to give some brief history on the property, so the current Randolph County designation was for conditional use, and that was for furniture manufacturing and related activities only that were permitted with the current zoning. And that was applied to the property back on March 3rd of 1998. So they're also, based on the tax records, those indicated that various buildings on the property were built between 1984 and 2003. As far as the notifications, the applicant, those were mailed before the planning board is required, and then also a staff mailed notice prior to the council hearing, and then notice has been published in the newspapers required, and then notices have been posted on the property, as you'll see in some of the photos as we go through those. So the property is just over 62 acres, and as mentioned, the land use under the city's zoning classification would be, the last use would have been manufacturing, processing, and assembly when the furniture manufacturing was occurring on the site. And so as we'll see, city water and sewer available on the maps. In terms of transportation, this property does have frontage on the Interstate 7374. Also, it has frontage on US 220 Business South, and that is a major thoroughfare. Southmont School Road, the last comprehensive transportation plan, it was classified as a minor thoroughfare. There was some realignment of that at the same time US 64 bypass was completed. Traffic volumes, you have those there. All of those are under the roadways capacities for each of the roadways that are that the property fronts on. There's also a left turning lane accessing the property if you're headed northbound on 220 Business. The I-2 district is described as producing areas for intensive manufacturing, warehousing, processing, and assembly uses controlled by performance standards to limit the effect of such uses on adjacent districts. So that's the zoning district that's being, as a general district being proposed with this request. So I covered some of the history. The furniture manufacturing ceased back in 2023, and this is a general zoning district request for the I-2 designation. So there's no specific use or site plan. This is to apply a zoning designation on the property. And so there was a recent announcement for an economic development project for manufacturing, processing, and assembly back in 2025 for manufacturing use with the environmental air. But just as a point of, that's just as a point of information, this would be a general district to consider all I-2 uses. And so we do have the annexation request, as I mentioned. City zoning must be applied to the property because of this not being within the city zoning jurisdiction to avoid, if annexation is approved, to avoid this property being unzoned. So there has to be some sort of zoning designation applied to the property to avoid that scenario. Just to show you the property's location, it's the area outlined in blue. The shaded areas that you see on the upper side of the map are within the city's primary city limits, and then a few other properties outside of that. So this is outside of that area. You see the property has frontage there on the interstate, Southmont School Road, and that sort of leg off to the right that's highlighted in blue, that is where the access to the property is currently located off of 220 Business. This next slide shows you the parcel as Parcel A, and then it shows all of the adjoining parcels that were notified of the application. So in terms of topography, the steeper areas on the property are really to the south of the property, on the south side of the property, and a little bit to the northeastern side, but especially on the far southern kind of leg of the property that you see along the interstate. There's also a 100-year floodplain in a portion of that area. And this shows you the existing use of the property, the buildings, the structures. There's a pond on the northern side of the property. We also have the surrounding land uses. You see some industrial uses that are along 220 Business south in this area. You see some residential uses scattered along the eastern side of the property, and residential uses to the south. The interstate is to the west, and then to the north, you have Southmont School Road, but not too far from that to the north, you have the 64 bypass. So this shows you a little bit more of a two-dimensional view, just kind of zoomed in to show you the buildings and then the surrounding properties that are in this area. So you do see kind of that mix of residential and industrial with some commercial activity as well. So this is a view of the property if you're looking directly into it from 220 Business south, where you see the access roadway going into the property. This is a little bit further into it, where you have a gate and you can see some of the buildings that have been that are there. This is looking to the south on 220 Business south, so you have some commercial activity, former gas station there, and then some industrial activity if you kind of see through those trees, some additional buildings here in that direction. This is looking to the north on 220 Business north, and I will note you see the zoning sign posted there. This is looking at the property from Southmont School Road. If you're looking to the west, the property is on the left, also noting the zoning sign there. This is looking at the property from Southmont School Road. This is looking at it from close to the interstate on the kind of northwestern corner, so you can see the buildings that exist here. This is if you're looking east on Southmont School Road towards 220 Business. And then this would be kind of standing on the overpass of Southmont School Road and I-73-74, looking to the north, so that exit 70A and B, that is the 64 bypass. Then this is looking to the south along that overpass. So you see on the left-hand side, those buildings, those are on the subject property that you see. Then this is showing you the area just to the south where there are residential uses along Dinah Road. So the subject property is not in the photo, but this just shows you some of the adjoining properties in that area. And so because of this not being in the city's current zoning jurisdiction, it is not specifically mapped by the land development plan with the proposed land use. If we look, though, at the goals and policies in the plan, we do find several that staff believes are supportive of the request. Those speak to kind of how that I-2 zoning district is described, having the utilities and water and sewer that serve the property and currently serve the property, and then 3 different economic development goals and policies that we believe are supportive of the request. The 3 goals that are not supportive of the request are just acknowledging that there is a small area of floodplain and area of steeper slopes on the property. And it is ideal to have a transitional land use in between industrial and residential land uses, although we don't always have that. Do just want to point that out. So the proposed consistency and reasonableness statement with this request is that, of course, as I mentioned, it's not, the property is not within the city's jurisdiction to have a map designation, but if we look at the plan, it does speak to having the area along the 64 bypass having significant future growth. We also have this located along the interstate corridor. So in that area, we have different nodes of economic activity in that area and a good bit of residential growth if we look at the southern kind of sector of Asheboro in this general area. And so ideally, as I mentioned, while it's ideal to have a transitional use between industrial and residential uses, we have had heavy industrial use on this property for decades. It's mentioned in the history, and so that makes a general rezoning district beneficial by encouraging economic development. And of course, having this within the city zoning will offer protections within the ordinance to those adjoining property owners, dealing with issues such as buffering and landscaping and screening and other industrial performance standards, dealing with issues such as noise and lighting, for example, that we believe make the request reasonable. This did go before the planning board. They recommended approval of the request, and staff is recommending approval of this request, but as outlined, we would ask that a decision be continued until after the annexation hearing takes place. So I'll be glad to pause at this point and take any questions if the council has them.
I have a question. So
Yes.
it currently has water and sewer,
Correct.
but it's outside the city limits.
Correct.
And then the other thing is that this is the closest zoning district that would match what the county has.
Yes, ma'am, precisely, because they had it zoned heavy industrial, limited to furniture manufacturing, but out of the different districts that the city had to work with, this is the one that we believe makes sense. And you also see the property owner has indicated that their wishes are for it to be zoned I-2.
Right, which would be a good idea since the furniture manufacturing is no longer there.
Yes,
So,
sure.
and that was a conditional use. So
Correct.
this would open up any type of industrial that is allowed under I-2.
Correct, under the ordinance, that's correct.
But with having it subject, as you just said, to our requirements, there would be improvements made with buffers and like you were talking about, just with lighting and noise and all those kind of things, which would be an improvement over how it currently is.
Possibly, what we would do, though, with city zoning, that gives us the ability to evaluate what's there on the site, what's proposed, making sure that all of those items are compliant. with the city's zoning requirements and just general police requirements, so building code, fire code, all of those items, once it's in city jurisdiction.
Any further questions? Thank you. Mr. Evans,
Yes, sir.
do we have a representative from the owner would like to speak? Frank, you sign your name and tell everybody who you are. Just tried to catch you before you took your glasses off.
Yeah, probably should have done that. Thank you. So I'm Frank Edmondson, fourth president of Schwartz Properties. Not sure I could tell you much more about the property than what John just did. He did a wonderful job. I actually learned quite a bit myself. But happy to try to answer any questions you guys may have. And apologize, Mayor. Thank you, council. Thank you for the opportunity. We've been working on this for a better part of a year, and everything's starting to culminate now. So hopefully can work through anything or any questions you guys may have.
Does your current tenant occupy all those buildings, or?
Not right now. So right now, it is a multi-tenant property, environmental area, which was the EDC project
Right.
that they mentioned before, is in the larger building, and right now, just not doing much until we work through all of this. The former cutting plant up above it, we had a tenant in there that has a term through August, I think. And, you know, we're working with them to help them move out. It's actually one of our largest customers, but given the gravity of what EAS is bringing to Asheboro, they were kind enough to work with us and actually get out of the bigger building early. And then EAS will then move into the entire facility. They'll occupy everything.
Any other
Just an
questions?
update for council, we received the latest contract from the state just today, so, for the
Okay.
incentive agreement,
Okay,
so it's moving forward.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Anyone else care to speak on this matter, would like to speak? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you'll sign your name and state your name for the record.
My name is Lash Hammond. I live in Eula. I've been living there over 50 years. Initially, and thank you for council last night, very valuable information. And thank you guys for giving us the platform to have a voice. Initially, I was against it. But since then, I have been more informed. And my wife told me to concede. So I'm going to do what you said. I got to go back.
You're done. Good call. Yeah, you're done.
Yes. Upon talking further with the gentleman who was just here, Mr. Emerson, I think he's going to be a good neighbor. And as long as they comply, and I would ask Mr. Evans if he'll give me some type of document in case somebody gets amnesia. I want some type of document, if I could get that, so we can make
You need that
sure
for
that.
your wife.
Sir?
You need that for your wife.
Well, she told me to bring it back. Yeah,
Well,
but just,
this will all be recorded.
Okay,
Duly
that's
recorded.
good.
It will be in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay.
As well as any other documents related to the zoning and the annexation.
okay, now, this be out of the ordinary for me to request a paper copy that I can put in my hands
Well, once it's
today?
passed and approved and
It's good?
and goes through, it'll eventually be available, correct, Mr. Suggs?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
It
it's
will
public
be,
record. It's a
but-
matter of public record.
But I would just clarify, this is a general district that we're talking about, so you probably will need to, with your permission, Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
you'll need to follow up with the planning department, and they can help walk you through the provisions within the zoning ordinance that would be applicable, which is voluminous, that would be applicable if the council switches the jurisdiction over to the city and approves what's been requested as far as zoning, because the minutes will reflect the request for this particular district. And then within the district, you'll have to look at the regulations in the ordinance. But our planning department, I'm speaking for Mr. Evans, but I see him nodding his head, they'll be happy to walk you through what the provisions are in the zoning ordinance that would be applicable if this is approved, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Now I see why this guy's making big bucks. And why y'all tolerated him all these years. Yeah, thank you. Very valuable information last night. Helped me make my decision along with my wife. So my family, we are in compliance. We will concede my opposition initially. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Let me write my name. You want me to write a picture, or you want me to write my name down here?
Your name,
Oath?
if you'd like.
Thank you for your input, gentlemen and ladies. You're very appreciated.
Well,
If
thank-
you hadn't heard it today,
Well, thank you for coming.
yes, ma'am, thank you.
Anyone else care to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the legislative hearing, and we'll move on to the deliberation period, or we can discuss it, and then we'll entertain a motion to table it until we get back. Table the proper terminology. Suspend it.
Just to recess
Recess, okay, gotcha.
deliberations
I knew
on
I'd
this
get there
particular
eventually.
agenda item.
Okay. All right. Council? Any questions, any thoughts?
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we recess deliberation on this item until after item 9A is heard.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burks, thank you. Okay, now I will open up a public hearing, item 9A, requesting satellite annexation, Source Properties requesting satellite annexation, and I will, Michael Leonard?
Thank you, Mr. Sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for the 62.09 acres that Mr. Evans was describing, located at 4402 US Highway 220 Business South, the Swartz Properties LLC. This item was presented at the January 8th, 2026 City Council meeting. A resolution has been properly advertised, and now's the time for the public hearing.
Anyone here to speak for this annexation? Anyone here to speak against this annexation? Well, then I will close this public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have an annexation ordinance prepared by the city attorney making the annexation effective upon adoption. Staff recommends adoption by reference.
Sure. I'd like to know why you want to annex at this point? Did you have water and sewer and no services? I'm just curious.
Mary John, I'll answer that one. That was a condition of doing the incentive package
Okay.
for it. So the city was providing services, the property had remained underutilized for all these years with all the additional work that's gonna have to be done and the incentives from the state and the city.
And the county.
And the county
And
as
county,
well,
too.
and we're requiring annexation.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Any other questions? Motion?
I move we accept this annexation
Second.
request.
Motion, Ms. Pugh, thank you.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cheek, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, do we need a motion to reopen? Yes. Somebody give me a motion to reopen.
Move to reopen.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Burke. Second, thank you, Mrs. Pugh. We're back to our deliberation stage. After all that, is any questions that have popped in anybody's mind during all this? Any further discussion we need? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, based on the plan consistency and reasonable statement, I will make the motion that we approve this rezoning request as presented.
We have a motion. Thank you, Ms. Heath. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Swears. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, I need to open another public hearing. Oh, that public hearing is closed. I closed it, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the city.
Yes.
Good, Charles.
Okay, I will open another public hearing for the satellite annexation. I didn't know your middle name was Eugene. Rick and Chris Spencer have requested satellite annexation for 2 parcels of land. John?
This-
Oh, I'm sorry,
this-
Michael, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for 2 parcels containing 2.083 acres located on Zoo Parkway between Old Cox Road and Parkway South Street. This item was presented at the January 8th City Council meeting. The resolution has been properly advertised. Now's the time for the public hearing.
Okay. Anyone here to speak for this? Anyone here to speak against? I will close the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have an annexation ordinance prepared by the city attorney, making the annexation effective upon adoption, and staff recommends adoption by reference.
I move we approve this annexation ordinance.
By reference, okay. Thank you, Ms. Pugh. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Cheek. Thank you. Any further discussion?
I have an uncle, a cousin, and my youngest brother's middle name are Eugene. I know that's just totally irrelevant, but I had to throw that, because you just don't meet a Eugene every day. Totally out of line on my part, but I had to throw that out.
I'm sure that will be noted in the record. Okay, not any further discussion. Do we have a motion? We already got a motion.
Yes.
We did, I'm sorry. Yeah, see, he just did.
I messed you up.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay, that's okay. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris. Okay, Trevor, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. We have several action items on the agenda this evening related to development of the David and Pauline Gerald Center City Garden. We'll take them one at a time. The first is the award of a contract for the construction of the facility. We originally were scheduled to open bids on Tuesday afternoon, but in light of the weather, we moved that opening to this morning. And I'm happy to report that there were 4 proposals submitted and opened. The apparent responsive low bidder is J&K General Contractor, who have provided us a construction cost of just over $955,000 and a schedule of construction of 240 days. The second apparent low responsive bid was from Bar Construction. That bid was $1.388 million and a construction schedule of 175 days. We have reviewed the proposals with Insight Planning, who is our grants administrator on this project. And we present to you a request to authorize execution of the necessary agreements with the apparent low bidder, J&K General Contractor, subject to verification of the proposal contents. We expect to complete the review of that tomorrow, but given that it was just received this morning, we want to go through all those contents. We think we have everything we need. However, we ask for a contingent upon that verification, and then we hope to move forward. So that is the recommendation for 10A, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions, Sarge?
Oh, quick question. Does it concern you that it's 240 days?
No, I think 240 days is a reasonable amount of time for construction of the facility. If you're referring to kind of the timeframe of the grant funding, that is something we are going to have to deal with, whether it's this contractor or another contractor. That as I've tried to explain, and it's confusing even to myself to try to walk through how this funding works, the particular grant dollars are COVID-era funds, and they are set to expire in June, is what the Commerce Department has told us. However, what we plan to do is ask for a program amendment of that grant to allow a different revenue source to be used for the project. And through our conversations with the state, there are other funding sources that also are at risk of being returned to the federal government and are available for us to pivot to. They are just a little less at risk of being returned. Instead of $2020, which is what the current grant funds are, these will be 2021 dollars, and so there is some more time left on those other funds. So that's a long answer to say it does not. I think the request is reasonable, and it does not. It concerns me only in the sense that we know we have to deal with this pending expiration of funds, but that is something that we will have to work through.
I just noticed it's the longest one.
Yes, ma'am. It is the longest one.
Okay, thank you.
Where's their home office?
I'm sorry.
Or is this a local company?
This firm is out of Rayford, I believe.
I spoke with Mr. Nuttall this afternoon. It does concern me some about the difference, first to second. This was not a bid bonded type job. It was just an open bid.
Correct.
They did not have to provide a bid bond. I think part of the qualification should at least have them give us a price on providing a performance bond. So then we can decide. I mean, and the only reason I would do that, and Lord, I want to save money like everybody, but bonding companies typically won't bond with that kind of difference. And then we've got no protection if he up and leaves. And I mean, I just don't want to put the city in that position. I'm not saying he can't do it. I mean, it may fall in, he may be working in the area and never be able to do that. I did go to their website, and they do seem to be a big operation. But I would think that we should have some type of backup protection ultimately once we sign the contract. And it may be $20,000 or $25,000 for that bond, but it will be well worth money spent. That if and like I said, I've got no reason to believe there's an issue with them.
Yes, sir.
But be a good business sense is to have that protection for the city. And
Is that something that could be part of this verification process that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
yeah, he simply say the council wants a bond, and yeah, and we would like the price of adding a performance bond to this
Got it.
at the days they have. I mean, you know,
It's a prudent position to take.
Yes.
and there is a $250 a day liquidated damages.
Yes, sir.
That is in there.
Yes, sir.
But I will tell you that typically those are never enforced because you get weather extensions for that type of stuff. So,
Right.
and we don't, I mean, you know, unless he just up and leaves, you're not gonna really probably do that, so.
If I may ask, Trevor, I don't recall that specific contract. How long did it say in the invitation for bids as far as the council to accept, to award the contract? Was it the 60 days?
I think it was the typical 60 days.
That's our typical one we
Yes,
use.
sir.
Was this one slightly different?
Correct.
The reason I ask is it can get very convoluted and messy if the city council awards and then starts having issues about whether or not we're trying to change the bid. So let's see, it'd be advisable, given that we have some time, you've just got them, we're still within that window, and the council's regular meeting is March 5th, so it works on the calendar, that you would be back in, so as not to get the city into a contractual entanglement as far as interpreting what you have awarded and not awarded, to continue this item and with those instructions to Mr. Nuttall to the March 5th regular city council meeting to do some legwork on it and not commit, because if there's going to be a problem and we're going to get a controversy out of it, the cleanest method is to reject all bids and start over. But I know you don't want to do that at this point, but to buy you some time, if that makes sense.
So you know,
where I'm coming
if
from.
we do continue, you have to come back on the 5th.
Can use your service too. You're part of the deal.
Counselor, could you have a conditional offer, the council authorizing the staff with those conditions? Just in case we were able to get the contractor, they were compliant, they agreed, and then based upon those conditions? So we don't have to come back?
We could, but I prefer, if we can, because I haven't seen what the other offer is, and I don't want to get into, I'm a little leery about getting into, are we trying to change what the other bidder, the next lowest bidder is going to say? We start playing too much with that.
$300,000, yeah.
He can't, but the question is, why didn't this gentleman, this bidder,
Agreed.
get to do it? And it's like, it's almost you're on the verge of a question. I'm not
Gotcha.
saying it is.
I got you.
But a question of unfair advantage on this maneuver. Whereas right now, we're doing the due diligence and just continue it so we can make sure we get the comparison to see what the exposure is. Just trying to go down this route is
What about the
concern.
timing of when we need to expend these funds and all that? How does that factor into this?
Well, that was one question. That's what he was saying, that we're gonna have to switch money anyway.
Yes, we,
But if we delay it to March, is that gonna eat into?
I don't think so. I don't think that will have any effect on the steps that we will have to take to
Okay.
change the revenues, the grant revenue source. I
Okay.
do want to, a bid bond and a performance bond obviously are different.
Well, they're the same thing.
the,
Security company will tell you it's the same.
Sure.
But they offer it for,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to protect their bid. And like you said, they
Yeah.
have 72 hours.
Correct.
And, to get out of it, but the bid bond is if the guy backed out in, in 2 weeks and said, oh, I can't do it for that, and that bond, they will pay you that amount.
Right.
For your inconvenience and your trouble, which will do nothing to get us close to the 1,388,000.
Well, why did we require it?
I don't know.
This was a conversation that we had. There was some just concern. We were wanting to ensure that, as best we could, that we had interest on the project, and at least 3 submissions was the discussion that we had. If we would not have received 3 bids, then we would not have been in a position to present you with prices or an action to take.
And this is where lawyers will drive everybody crazy, because everybody's right in what you're saying. The mayor is correct as far as bid bond, performance bond, but the concern comes up under the competitive bid statutes. Now, the statutes give leeway, give it on the type of work that you're doing, vertical versus what the work going on out there. But if you've got your own rules, so Sean, we're going to go back, the area of looking at what the invitation for bid and the instructions were. If you don't provide a bid bond, we use a 2-envelope system. You're not supposed to even open the bids to compare if you don't have the bid bond, as opposed to dealing with the performance bond purely from the analysis. And if our own instructions brought the city back in under that paradigm that we're using, the formal recognizers for construction bid process, it could cause a problem about why we're even looking at it if you didn't have a bid bond in there, which it doesn't sound like we require. So
Just
need to be
real
careful on our terminology.
Yes, sir. Real quickly, and I was just pulling up the request for proposals. And because it does talk about licensing and bonding requirements, there is a reference in the request for proposals for both a performance bond and the payment bond, and a payment bond. All bidders must hold a valid NCGC license, and the contractor must furnish proof of the insurance coverage as described in Section B. And so there is an expectation, at least according to the proposals, for there to be a performance bond. It was silent in reference to a bid bond.
Right.
So my reading is that will be an expectation of the contractor as it relates to performance and payment bonds, just not the bid bond.
Yeah, and the bid bond, they don't pay anything. The insurance company issues it with the expectation that you're going to get the performance bond.
So with that, we would not be executing a contract unless we had a performance bond as a part of it. So that,
Is that
everybody okay with that?
clear with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that right, Ben?
Yes. That is in the request for proposals.
Okay,
That,
okay.
does become part of the,
We'll just have to follow up before.
right, yes, sir.
Well, technically, if that's in there, that should be in the price.
And you've just summed it, you've summed it up as that what is being requested is all right, as far as you can proceed with the verification, so long as we had that
Yeah,
in the request. And that was the whole thing, were we changing the terms of the request or not? It does not sound like that was changed, so therefore, the recommendation would still be appropriate if that's what you want to go forward with.
okay.
Took us a long time to get to the same point you wanted to get.
It's okay. We need to.
What you here for, sir?
It's called billable hours.
That's why y'all are wise, you put me on salary.
Well, maybe it's a good idea in the future to have a bid bond.
Well,
That's what I'm thinking.
typically, I know down at the zoo, if it's under 400,000 or less, you have what they call an informal bid. Anything over, well, I think it was 500,000 and above, you have to have, it's required by the bid bond, and the state does and everything.
That is certainly something we can look at updating our policies to make it not optional for formal bidding to require a bid.
Well, and there again, my concern comes from the difference in, I mean, that guy could call tomorrow and draw that.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So, but, you know, and I hope he won't, I mean, but they seem like a legit company and everything, and a good-sized company, so I'm not.
That's our understanding. But that is what we want to take tomorrow to,
Right.
to check.
Okay, so basically, we need a motion to award the contract based upon verification and clarification and
If you will say contingent,
contingent, okay, on the,
Our verification.
and verification for the construction of the Gerald Garden.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh.
No, second.
Thank you, Mr. Chi. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. Items 2 and B are related to the project as well. These agreements involved engagement with the insight planning for additional work now that we have secured the funding for the project, as well as bringing back on the adding to the scope of services of the original designer, Jennifer Wagner, with Prospect Landscape Architecture. So there are two separate engagements here. I've kind of combined them on the screen, but there is staff does recommend that council authorize the city to engage with Insight Planning for a cost not to exceed $120,000 to help with project delivery and administration of those federal funds. As well as, that would be 10B, and so you would want to take a motion on that. 10C would be Prospect Landscape Architecture, again, the facility designer, to provide landscape design, architecture, and engineering assistance, because there will be things that come up as we get into construction that we will need their assistance on. That's for a cost not to exceed $25,000. We do request authorization to engage with both. We do expect there is administrative funds available from the grant for services. We expect these services, if not entirely to be provided by the grant, to as close to possible entirely provided. I'm expecting that the grant funds will provide these services and without any additional local funds from the city. But there could be some funds that we need to provide, but as it stands right now, all of the construction dollars and design work moving forward will be via those grant funds is our expectation.
Okay. Any
Mr.
questions?
Mayor, if you don't mind, while that was combined for very logical reasons.
I'm gonna do A, B, and C.
Separate vote,
Got
please,
you,
please.
got you.
Just 10B and 10C, yes, sir.
Okay.
B and C.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve the engagement with Insight Planning
Okay.
as presented to cover the project delivery and administering the grant with services not to exceed $120,000.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. Is there a second? Second one, Mr. Burks, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we move on to C, the 25,000. Anybody have any more questions about that? Okay. Anybody want to throw out a motion?
I'll move that we.
Okay.
we-
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Is that, the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Heath. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. I will turn item 10D over to Ms. Reeves.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In your packet should be an ordinance to amend the David and Pauline Gerald Center City Garden Project Fund. I have tried to walk you through the different funding sources. This ordinance combines all the different funding sources, recognizes the funding sources, and also provides for the expenditures that you just recently authorized approval of the contract engagements. We have leftover funds from COVID funds from our previous grant of $243,203. We have new grant funds from that same program that have been awarded to us. That's the $793.35. And then we have federal land and water conservation project grant funds of $298 and some change. So a little bit more than $1.3 million. Now, under the expenditure line items, some of them are pretty solid. The two contracts that were the B and C that you just approved is the sum of the $135 and the $10,000 that's listed there. In the category of construction, there is sufficient funds to engage in the contract with your lowest responsive bidder, plus allow for some contingency funding. And of course, your revenues and expenditures need to balance out. Now, those funds, the construction money, you guys, if their construction needs are not as much as that, and there are some other needs, we can always do a budget amendment to move from those line items. But I wanted to balance the expenditures with the known revenue sources that we have gathered in order to proceed with construction. I recommend adoption by reference if there are no more questions.
Mayor, just as Debbie just said, this is the culmination of a lot of work to secure grant funds to do this project, which I think we should all be really proud of, that we're doing it with grant proceeds. And we're all happy to have Mayor Gerald with us as we
been a long
work
journey for you,
through
Gerald.
all of this.
Did I get stirred up?
You're good.
Thank you for stirring.
Yes, and with that, I'll make the motion that we approve this ordinance to amend the David and Pauline Gerald Center City Garden Project Fund as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. Second. Thank you, Mr. Cheek. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us this project.
A long time since we had that ribbon, that groundbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Duncan.
Mayor, members of council, this is another project that's been brewing for some time. This will kick off the Emergency Operations Center and Fire Station Number 3 on the south side of the community. We've done some site plan work. The first thing we'll do is ask that council do a different process here rather than design, build. We're asking that because of the dynamic pricing that we're seeing in the market, that we go with a construction manager at risk program. We'll have partial design completed that we can then turn over to a team that would be selected through an RFP process. You select the most qualified contractor and design team to finish this project for you, and with the whole idea of controlling costs as much as feasible. The next step of the process after you approve this tonight, we would send out an RFP, and then we would appoint a committee that would review those proposals as they are submitted. I would ask that the mayor be allowed to sit in on this committee, simply not because of mayor, but because of his real job in the construction industry, to provide counsel to staff, since this is the first one the city of Asheboro has done for CMAR that I'm aware of. I think, or maybe there was one in the past, but it's been a while. And then we'll select a committee of the fire staff, as well as assistant city manager and the city engineer to review those proposals. And then typically you'll get anywhere from 10 to 15, and you'll cut that down to 3 to 5 that you'd like to interview and go through and then select and make a recommendation to council to move forward. And I'll cover the next item as well before we vote. The next item would be is to engage a project manager. The scale of this project, this will be the first new vertical construction the city's done. It wasn't an existing building that we rehab, or a very small facility that, that we've added for construction. So because of that, I think we need to have a project manager. Fire stations look like big boxes, but they're quite unique with all the different things that have to go on them. And there are some horror stories here in the state. If you want to talk to the town of Davidson, the city of Fayetteville, here recently, they have a fully complete fire station that they cannot move into. So we don't want to go through that process, because with design bid, the traditional method, you may get an unqualified bidder and you don't know it till you're through the project. So this is a way we can pre-screen those and select, and most importantly, select your subs. That's the key thing in this market, having qualified subs to provide the contracting. So I would recommend that council authorize us to select construction manager at risk program. You have to pass a resolution to say why you're doing it, and that is included in your packet. And then the second thing would be to hire Story Project Management to serve, and then we'll get into the budget amendment to fund all that in a minute. Let's see, if there's anything else, I'm trying to think. I think that's it. We'll also establish a capital project fund for this, and because there's funds from both the state, the federal government, and the city to make this project happen. And once we get into the CMR, we'll be able to verify, did the funding that we have cover it? Are we gonna need additional financing or go for additional grants before we start the project? So there'll be many more steps to come back before council to approve this project, but this kicks it off.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Duncan. Let's jump on number 11A, excuse me.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think this is a very good idea to have a construction manager at risk, given the climate. There are different ways to do this, and I really think this is the proper way to go. So I move that we authorize the use of the construction management at risk.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, let's go to 11B.
Mayor, if I may, I forgot to add, Story Project Management, the proposal is in your file there, is also assisting the town of Davidson, the town of Matthews, I'm trying to think who else, currently with fire stations. So this is not a foreign concept to them. They're most qualified, and they actually came highly recommended to us with Davidson, the town of Davidson, because they had a failed fire station, and now they're having to rebuild their main station 1 completely, because Station 2 was such a bad project. So they highly recommended them, and when we interviewed them, they were quite helpful to us. They've already been a help to us. They're not even on the clock officially yet, so they're already working on the project with anticipation to be improved. Chief, anything you want to add?
No, when we spoke with them, I've learned in the process, because I did not know what a DD set was, a CD set. They was talking a complete foreign language to me, and I pretty much told them, I said, y'all set it on fire, we take care of that. We look for people like you. From talking with other cities during this whole process, that has come recommended to us, and speaking with them, I was thoroughly impressed with them, and like I said, they have spoken with us. They are currently working with an architectural firm that we are using in Davidson also. They have the same architectural firm, so it made me feel really good to know that we were looking at somebody to help manage a project like that.
And I would add that the
We've talked to them, and they have the time and the staff to handle it.
That was the first question we had, did they have the capacity? Yes, sir. Good question.
Again, I think this is a good way to do this. It's hard for the city to do the construction management on this. And especially when they're using, design and engineering terms that you just don't really know. And it's good to have someone who has experience. We did one of these at the zoo one time on a complicated thing, because there's just no way we could stay on top of it. It saved us a lot of money. And if something goes awry, which it could in this climate, they can come back to us and say, we recommend you do it this way, or, this has come up, you need to address it. I just think it's a really good idea to have a owner's representative.
And the two things together are particularly powerful. I mean, it's just really going to help ensure that this project is done the best that it possibly can be done.
And within, within budget, I mean, you can just, as the manager said, you can build something and then it's just totally functional. And that happened, that's why we had one at the zoo, because you could get too far and then you say, oh, we forgot about this.
And that will be that guy's responsibility.
exactly.
So we don't get too far and have to tear stuff up and put it back in. And there's specific stuff to fire stations that aren't specific
Oh,
to a
goodness.
normal building, so
I wouldn't even
having
want to
people with
touch
that kind of experience, will be valuable, yes.
You need a motion on that, or?
Yes, we do.
I move that we authorize, Story Project Management to serve as the owner's representative.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cheek. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Back over to Ms. Reed.
In your packets are 3 ordinances that we're gonna be talking about tonight. First one is an ordinance to amend the Emergency Operating Center Fire Station Number 3 fund. That is a capital project fund that was established with the $3 million funds that are currently being administered by FEMA. And then this ordinance also takes the other special revenues that we have. We have a SCIF special revenue fund. We have a reserve fund that we already put together. And then we have a little bit of money coming in from this general fund. So this ordinance pulls all those sources together, allows me to move money around. And then the expenditure line items are broken down. You've got the construction manager at risk that we've already just talked about the cost for that. I do have to disclose in talking about how I'm gonna do my reporting, I have 3 construction line items specifically for the different funding sources, because I have to make sure I report details on each of those expenses to those specific granting agencies. So that was logically the easiest way for me to keep things clean. And then we've got geotechnical. I am moving some money out of contingency administration. When we first set up the grant fund, we really didn't have a plan, so we just kind of put some money there to balance out. But now that we're getting ready to do construction, I just wanted to combine everything that we could in construction. The transfer from the general operating fund is to cover expenses that are not hard cost construction, just to allow us to clean up our records and our bidding and things like that. So this is what we're gonna be operating out of for the construction of this project going forward. I recommend adoption if there are no more questions. There aren't questions. Adoption by reference.
You'd like us to vote on all 3 separately?
Yes, sir, please.
So do that one first for me.
Okay. First one's ordinance to amend the Emergency Operations Center Fire Station Number 3 fund.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve this ordinance as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, ordinance to amend the State Capital Infrastructure Grant Fund.
This ordinance just sets up the accounting to allow me to transfer any unspent monies for from the state grant that we received to the capital project fund. I recommend adoption by reference.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cheek. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3.
Okay, the last one is just the ordinance to amend the general fund, transferring funds over to the capital improvement fund as we just discussed. I recommend adoption by reference.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cheek. Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, I'm getting right back to you, Ms. Reeves, but I'm gonna have the chief, there were some comments, he needed some information he needed to share prior to your presentation regarding this.
Before I get started on this, Mayor Gerald, when he was serving as our current mayor, it made me think back in time. Every time I was in fire inspections when Mayor served as mayor, and every time I would come up here, Mayor Gerald would always be, "What kind of trouble you stirring up today, son?" And I don't know if it was my response was, "Sir, I'm just doing the job that y'all are paying me for." So I don't know if it was people calling him to complain about stuff I was requiring them to do, but you're paying them back, sir. Now you up here getting them back. Yeah, we, on the items that we're getting ready to address, we had put in our current budget year, we had requested approximately $300,000 for some trench rescue equipment, a trailer to haul the equipment, and a vehicle to pull that trailer. It got cut from the budget, so my staff, being the way they are, they're very ingenious, and they still look for ways to make things happen. So in that, like I said, the equipment that we were looking for was approximately $220,000. The truck was $40,000 to $60,000. It's current, what kind of state or where we could purchase one that we needed, used or used, that we would be looking for. And the trailer was approximately $30,000. So in that, saying the trailer that we were looking at from further research that we did would have already been almost overweight when we got it and put the equipment on it. So it got removed from the budget. Like I said, I give my staff credit. They started looking for different ways to accomplish some stuff. We had went to look at some stuff and found a truck that was basically a tractor trailer. I don't know if any of y'all have seen it. It's parked up behind Station 2. It was a task force truck for USAR equipment that Thomasville Rescue, who was going out of business, they had for sale. Spoke with the city manager about that, and the council, y'all approved. We got that truck for $22,000, and it's, like I said, it's a tractor trailer, and we can't overload it. Well, being my staff, they were like, "We got this truck, we need some stuff to put on it," you know. So in speaking, we had come to y'all to ask about buying a tiller truck, a used one we were looking at. And we was not successful in bidding on that at an auction. And so the money was still in our budget. So as the city manager, he told me fire chief is for Cherokee, man who asked for lots of money. So I spoke with the city manager, and we was able to see about moving that money back into the equipment to get for that for $200,000 for that equipment. We come in a bid of $197,000 for the equipment. So that from our initial $300,000 to where we're at now, what we'd have invested, we saved approximately $78,000 to get that equipment, which to us is very needed. We have people, with the way our city's going, for trench rescue, we'll be certified with that when we get this equipment. We have people, not only our own employees in trenches in the city every day. As you said, there was 15 leaks, that's 15 opportunities. All the new construction that is coming to our city, the closest one that we really have is Greensboro, that was certified people. So that's why we stayed on it, looking for sources and ways that we could get that, not for our own city employees, but for the general public also, is on that item. And we're hopefully that it'll get passed and approved tonight. The next one, we're looking at some new trucks. The city manager had tasked us to find a spec of a truck that we would like to build for the city. So I tasked Chief Needham, he's over our apparatus committee at the station. They were in a meeting, and the representative that was there, it's called a demo truck, but it's pretty much the timeline to get a new truck now. If the current one that we have is 750 days. If you start building it today and you sign a contract with them, it's 750 days before we can get it. talking with the sales representative, they had put a pretty much a stock truck for their dealership and was having it built. It ended up being, what was it, Chief Needham, 90% of the spec that y'all designed that would meet what we were wanting. It's just a few minor changes that they could do. So in that, talking with them, they priced us that truck for $950,000. If we build it today, the same exact truck would run us $1.2 million. The motor for the new emission stuff that's coming out, you said was it $114,000 different?
$140,000.
$140,000 more. That's why it increased so. The truck that they have, we'll be able to get it in March of '27. On that, to go on that, and all comes around to it, that is an additional savings of $250,000 over us waiting to get one designed exactly what we want compared to what we can get, and we can get it at a faster pace. And so, like I said, the department will be very grateful and appreciative of all the support that the council has given us, and continue, like you just approved us, a big step forward in creating our third station. Everybody at the department is very excited about that, looking forward to getting that project off the ground. And this will just continue us growing and looking out for the safety of the citizens of our community.
Can you talk a little bit about why we need this new truck? I mean, just the age of what we have and.
Chief Needham, if I will, I'll have Chief Needham come up, and I'll let him explain to y'all our week this week. If you'll come forward real quick, Chief Needham.
This'll be good.
The city's growth, we've also experienced a large increase in our call response. So we're running an average 20, 25 calls a day. It's putting wear and tear on the equipment. Right now, the average age of our fleet is probably 15 years with close to 100,000 miles on it. Is it 20 year? NFPA recommends at 20 years. They come off 10 years frontline, 20 years they're out of service. So we're borderline, our frontline trucks are almost should be taken out of service. So we're trying to update our fleet. We've been held up in the years past with the cost of trucks increasing. I know it's become difficult. That's why we're looking at these demo trucks. Basically, a demo truck is like, they take the most popular builds over the last 3 years, design a truck that fits that, and sell it at a cheaper cost, because they can mass produce them like a regular car. So that's the avenue we're going with that. But just this week, we've had one engine's been down for 3 weeks. Our tower truck's been down for 4 days waiting on parts. We had a leaf spring break on another truck that was down for a week, and we've got one that needs to be in the shop getting rebuilt right now. So 5 frontline trucks, 3 of them are out of service. That's the struggle we're facing.
Okay.
That makes the chief ride around and eat snacks a lot during the day. And gray hair. Like I said, as I told you in the past, I don't worry about the staff down there, the job that they can do. They're very good at that. Like I said, my concerns is coming to y'all to ask to spend, to update and modernize our equipment. That's where my stress level's at. Like I said, I come in, I'll see a truck, I'll just keep on walking, I'll go get me a snack. I'll come back in a little bit, and I'll get Chief Needham. I was like, all right, let's explain what this is happening. But like I said, we have made, since new city managers come, we have made some great strides. Nothing in the past, it's just we have made great strides, and there will continue to be more that comes. To me, that's the price of public safety. I've talked with the city manager about it. The price of trucks has just gotten out of hand. The other trucks that we had was 15 and 16. We paid approximately $500,000 to $600,000 for those vehicles. And today they're $1.2 million, and they're going to continue to go up. They've been in Congress talking about it, and but that's the life we live, to provide the service that we have to have. Turnout gear, we can keep a set of turnout gear
and it be brand new on the shelf, and it gets 10 years old, we have to put it in the trash can. They say we can't no longer use it, and it could never have been worn. It's expensive. Our staff does real good at taking care of the equipment, but as Chief Needham said, well, I think some of you come down the other day, last Friday, I think in an hour's time span, we ran 6 calls. We ended up running 20 for that whole day. And those trucks up and down the road, it's a lot of weight, and it's hard on them, so.
Well, thank you for your creativity to try and save some
It's-
money.
That is none of my creativity. Like I said, my staff, they can come up with some ideas, and I'm very thankful for them because they are always looking at new ways to try to accomplish the goals that we have to accomplish. I told them they make me look real good, because they don't give up, and they keep coming back at it.
Well, I appreciate you trying to, save money and that these are increasing in price exponentially. And you all are trying to figure out a different route to do than just say, okay, we gotta have this and it's gonna cost this. It's gonna take more than a year to get it.
Yeah,
So I really appreciate you going back as
They don't give up. I will give them that. Even with Miss Reeves, when I come to Miss Reeves' office, and every time I walk in the doors, Mr. Hackett sits right there first, and he's back asking for more money again. And like I said, we try to do a very outstanding job, which they do that, and I can't give them enough credit for what they do.
it makes it easier for us to make a decision when you've gone the extra yards to get the best price in the best timing.
Providing solutions to our problems.
Yes.
Come with a solution, not just a question.
Yeah, so, any other questions?
I know this is not a wish list. If we're gonna maintain our ISO rating, we're gonna have to have this rescue equipment to add to that. If we're not way over the line, but we're just over a borderline to keep that now, so we need to assure that, because we wanna keep that for sure. That's
Yeah.
hard to earn.
And with the annexation tonight, our response area is growing. I think the housing development back down on Old Cox Road is coming up. It's a lot happening. The city does, everybody does get, I would not have those guys in the water department's job. We get the light shined on us because we're out in front of the public, us and the police department, we see that, but those guys in the background, they have a tough job. I told them, I said, it's either 100 degrees, or like the other day, it was down in the single digits, and they're out there in the water and the mud digging that. So it takes a whole group of us to make it successful every day, and our employees, all the city employees do a good job, and I know all of them are thankful for all the support that y'all give us on everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the budgetary part, the specialized equipment for the trench rescue, this is a transfer within the department. These are not ones that you guys typically see. The city manager does have the authority to move from one line item to another within the department. The reason why you're seeing this one is because you specifically designated this money for a different purpose, and the city manager wanted to make sure that the fire chief had an opportunity to explain why there was a change in what you specifically designated the funding for. Chief said it was about $197,000. In your budget amendment, we're not moving full $197 because we reviewed all the different equipment, and some of it is still classified as capital equipment, and so I only had to move money around to move it to the proper line items for supplies, materials, things like that. So I recommend approval of the adoption of the first budget amendment, which is moving money within the fire department. I recommend approval, adoption by reference.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief or Ms. Reeves?
Mayor, I'll make that motion as Debbie presented.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now the next budget amendment in your packet is an ordinance to amend the general fund. It's for an amount of $200,000 that we're appropriating. This will be combined with the $750,000 that is already budgeted in the current operating budget, which will allow us to purchase that vehicle for $950,000. I recommend adoption by reference.
Okay.
I'll move that we adopt this budget amendment.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Thank you, Mr. King. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Chief, does that get us in line to get this truck next March, next year, you said?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're holding it for us now. They give us, an opportunity to come to council to ask for it. And then, as soon as I get a PO through, they'll on the list to get it, to be on the way.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Roney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. 13A, let's see, the W.L. Brown Water Treatment Plant Emerging Contaminants Planning Study. Just a brief history of this project. The federal government passed the bipartisan infrastructure law grant, and in that they allocated funding for doing study for emerging contaminants. I came to council in the March 24 meeting, and you approved applying for these grants. We can't apply for money until council approves us to go for the funding. We received the funding. Oops, let's advance that, please. So we were awarded the funding and went through the RFQ process to select a firm. And in the previous October meeting, you approved HDR to do the work for us. They have been working for us and did a scope of work. So we submitted the scope of work to DEQ. They have approved the scope of work, which is, there's a copy of that in your packet, January 9th. And in that, they give us a sample resolution. There's an agreement we have to sign. There is a $10,000 closing fee we pay for the grant. But with that, we have to accept the funds on their terms, which is all provided in that grant, and they give us in that resolution. So basically, there's a resolution in your packet saying we accept the funding. It is grant. We will be reimbursed, and we just need council authorization to go ahead and receive that by resolution.
Is there a particular time by which we have to spend down the money?
There's a time, but there's so much funding out there. They're meeting our.
Okay.
We're on schedule.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Any other questions?
Okay, council, that's item.
That's
item 8.
13A?
13A, yes.
So I just ask that you approve the resolution by reference.
Mayor, I'll move that we approve this resolution accepting a state grant for the city of Asheboro, W.L. Brown Water Treatment Plant Emerging Contaminants Planning Study as presented.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Heath.
Second.
Thank you for the second, Mr. Cheek.
And I will note that the firm has been working on this project, so we're continuing. We just haven't gotten reimbursements yet, so now we can
Okay.
start seeking the reimbursements. We knew it was coming.
Could you explain some of the emerging,
Okay.
could you give us a couple examples?
So the emerging contaminants are the PFASs, PFOAs, that group is the ones we're studying. So, yes. Any other questions?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 13B, we're going to talk about Wolfspeed project. So the current agreement we have with Garney Construction is our contractor design build project. I will go ahead and talk about the design build. You just approved a CMAR. Design build is very similar to that, in that we have to go through the qualifications process to select a design build firm that includes the design firms and the contractor. We've gone through that process. this project was so large that we needed to start taking it in bites. So we've had several amendments to the original design-build contract. So council approved the Amendment 4 in June of '25, and we'd already procured all the materials for sections 1 and 2, and construction for 1 and 2, and materials for section 3. That amendment included construction for section 3. So that current contract gets us construction, section 3, which gets us to the existing 12-inch line on East Dixie Drive. So that ties us into Wolf Speed. That line only provides 1.2 million gallons of water to Wolf Speed, and the city of Asheboro is committed to provide 3.3 million gallons to Wolf Speed. So in order to do that, we have to parallel our system in town with another 16-inch line to where our existing 12-inch line ties into the new 20-inch line to meet that flow. That was not funded by the state. We were granted $55 million by the state to do this project. In that, the state was providing construction funds for about 12 miles of water line. This project is 16 miles of water line. So we were definitely underfunded. That's why we stopped with section 3. I'm sorry, that's section 2. Because it tied us in, we were providing water. We tabled section 1 until we came up with another funding source. We've worked, and we'll discuss another funding source in a minute, but I'll go ahead and explain what this last amendment is. So our current contract is for $746,385.99, and that includes a $3.7 million contingency. Amendment number 5 provides material. We haven't done early procurement on that like we did all the other job sections, and construction of section 1, which is a 16-inch water line from the intersection of Meadowbrook Road and Presnell Street, extending down Presnell Street, paralleling the Randolph Electric power transmission lines to the Duke Energy old maintenance yard and tying back into 64. It's another 4 miles of line, basically. So that is the amendment that's before you. The total cost for that is $15,232,778.21. Million, thank you. Okay. I went the wrong way, sorry. These numbers are crazy, that's the problem. I don't usually do tens of millions of dollars, so. It adds, I didn't put that in there, it's in the spreadsheet that's in there. Where's that number? $3.511965 million in contingency, with a total contingency of, that number was just there. It went back again, I'm sorry. $7,203,253,000. So keep in mind, just like the CMAR, we're hiring a project manager to help us. 16 miles of water line, the city of Asheboro does not have the staffing to manage that. So we hired HDR, what's wrong with this? I'm sorry. As our owner's advisor, and their fee on top of Garney's construction is $820,833. So that's coming out of the $55 million as well. And then I've already paid for $90,000 of easements out of city funds, but I've been getting reimbursements from Department of Commerce for those too, coming out of that $55 million. I'm estimating another $45,000 in easements for section 1. Don't know that, but it's going on what I paid for easements so far. That's very close. So we're estimating that. All that said, the total project cost with Amendment 5 and these extra fees to HDR and easements is $71,447,202.20. And we've only funded $55 million. Now, we've been talking to Randolph County, and they agree that the extra water we can push through that line, doing this section of the water line, is very beneficial to Asheboro and Randolph County. And they have agreed verbally to participate and provide the funding for this amendment. So that's where we are tonight. It's not in writing. They've agreed verbally. So let me ask answer any questions so far. Right now, you have an amendment before you for $50,232,778.21.
How deep does verbally go?
Well, can we approve it conditionally?
It would be a conditional approval
Contingent,
upon
contingent.
negotiating terms with the county, finalizing that.
Well, Zeb's still here, let's go and work it out.
Let's get a piece of paper.
Staff has met numerous times. I don't know how many we've actually met and discussed this between the city and the county, and it's been a very productive source. And so what will come back to you is an interlocal agreement between us and the county that will include this project, potentially others. And this will be really kicking off officially a regional system that would be partnering with the county in elements of Piedmont Tri-and Water and potentially Tri-Rivers and others yet to be named publicly that would help build this system and strengthen the county as a whole. So right now, we got a good handshake.
So, yeah, we've got a good handshake. So far, the funding we're seeking from the county is for 16,447,202.20. Keep in mind, about over $7 million of that is contingency, but
Well, with rock, you got that.
that's their risk right now. So,
Mr. Mayor, in order to answer your question, the council does have an option of approving on the condition precedent that the funding be secured, whether you want to make that the full number of the shortfall or you want to use some other number, but just put that approval on the condition precedent so that you satisfy it first before anyone goes forward with execution of documents.
and then you're authorizing the city manager to execute that amendment. So,
Okay. No pressure. No.
any more questions?
So all of that is B, 13B.
That is all 13B, yes. Mhm. And
The number you're looking for is 16,447.
correct.
Okay. The shortfall.
Well, no. I need you to approve amendment number 5.
Which is the 15.
Which,
15.
and there's a copy of that in the packet as well, which is 15,232.
I want to make sure we get so many numbers up here. I wanna make
Yes.
sure we got the right one.
Upon the condition, we have a successful negotiation.
A formal agreement
Randolph
with the county.
Yes, yes. I'd somebody like to put that in the form of a motion?
I will try. So Jeff, correct me if I don't get this right. Okay, so I'll make the motion that we approve Amendment 5 as presented, conditional to the development of an interlocal agreement with Randolph County and authorizing the city manager to execute that interlocal agreement.
That was good.
Did I get everything?
You got it.
You got it, it's on the condition precedent, just to make sure.
On the condition precedent.
Okay,
Second.
Okay.
okay. Got a motion by Ms. Heath, second by Ms. Pugh. Further discussions or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. No numbers, well, there are numbers in this one, sorry, but they're easier numbers.
Just like Clark failed.
13C, we're going to discuss the findings and corrective actions resulting from the sanitary sewer smoke testing that occurred in the Eastside community. History on this, the November council meeting during the public comments time, we had a citizen come in and share concern about odors, particularly in the area of Cedar Falls Road, Glenvania Street, Spring Street, Woodlawn Street, Loach Street. We know that is where Lift Station 2 discharges. We have always, prior to my tenure, fed a chemical, a calcium nitrate. Well, previous it was another chemical that was patented that was, they priced themselves out of the market, so we found calcium nitrate works. We've been using that for several years now. And we do feed that chemical at that station. So immediately our staff went out and investigated the next day and immediately increased our feed rate on that chemical. I'm going to get into the science a little bit in just a second. So sewer odors, that is hydrogen sulfide gas. And you'll see in the presentation I've got H2S. I'm talking about hydrogen sulfide. That's the chemical makeup of hydrogen sulfide. So that gas is formed as sewer ages, and that's where your rotten egg smell. That's what it is. So we've always fed that chemical, and we've always metered it. But lately, we've had the meter in the wet well at lift station 2 because of complaints there. So that's where we've been metering. We haven't been metering in the collection system. When that came, we immediately moved the meter to Spring Street to a manhole, and we've been metering there since. I'm going to show you the results of that in a chart in a minute. With that, you remember we had a complaint about sewer odor in the Dorset Avenue, Lindsay Avenue area. We met with that gentleman in the field. He agreed to let us smoke test. If sewer gas can get out, smoke can get out. So we know where there's smoke, there's sewer gas. So we smoke tested that area, and that gentleman had smoke coming up in his house. He understood that the problem was his. So we immediately said, we need to do smoke testing in this area to find out where the sewer gases are coming out. We scheduled the testing for, the smoke testing for the week of November 17th. Got it done in 2 days. In that, we found 40 sewer cleanouts that were broken, missing, non-existent. Some of those services were broken, just pipes sticking up out of the ground. There were 4 manholes that completely smoke everywhere. The rings weren't attached, so there were lots of problems over there. A lot of our sewer systems like that, but we just identified it here. All those repairs have been made. All new cleanout caps, all services have been repaired, all manholes have been resealed. It's airtight. Okay?
Great, good. Thank you.
Good work.
Excellent.
Yep.
So with that, that was water sewer maintenance that did all that work. We did the smoke testing, identified the areas, they went out and fixed it. Going back, we evaluated our odor control system, moved the meter. We've been metering there. Industry standard is 22 parts per million less of the measurable hydrogen sulfide gas is acceptable for steady flow. You can have spikes, but if it's steady, we're going to see that in just a second. There. So we moved the manhole. These are some of the numbers we've gotten. I will show you the 2 lines at the bottom are the only things you want to look at. But this is from December 1st. Those spikes are pretty much run with our pump runs with lift station 2. So the odor is pretty much controlled until the pump comes on and the odor increases. So we've been working on that and getting through it. Where's my notes now? I need to get to the chart, but those have numbers on them, a minimum, max, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But this is from, we skipped one. That's from February 3rd. That was just the other day. Okay, we took one out. So here's a chart of what we found. So went out November 7th, the day after the complaint. We immediately bumped the feed rate. When I say feed rate, that's the feed rate of chemical we're feeding, the calcium nitrate. Before that day, we were feeding 100 parts per million. That day, we started 120 parts per million. And I'm kind of showing you the cost of what this is. We've been evaluating just about every 2 weeks. Went out on the 18th, so we started getting measurements with the meter at that time. It had been in the ground for 2 weeks, so we're measuring. Our average was 16.54, which is it was acceptable by standards. We're under 20, we're good. But those spikes were still 105. So we increased another 10 parts per million to 130, looking at the cost. Went out again on December 1st. The averages come way down, looking great, but the spike's still there. Kept it for a little while just to see. Went back 2 weeks later, the 15th. Averages is in great shape. The spike's lower, but we did increase it some. So you're seeing what we've done. Go through the chart, February 3rd. That's Monday. No, Tuesday. Our average is still very acceptable. Our spikes are down to 49. We think that's acceptable for spikes. We're 170 parts per million feeding. We're going to hold it there for a while and keep monitoring. That's our plan. But we do think we've addressed the problem. But we've almost doubled the cost of treatment. So that's where we are. We're gonna have to definitely invest, increase that line item in the budget, so, but we'll do that. But that's where we are. We've fixed all the problems. We've addressed the odor control the best we can. Keep in mind, hydrogen sulfide forms more in hot weather. So when summer comes, this feed rate's gonna drastically increase. It might double, so it just happens. But we monitor more in the summer anyway, we know to. We usually don't address it as much in the winter because it's not an issue, but we have been. Any questions?
Do you have this in other parts of the city?
Lift Station 3 is the same thing we do, and that was the one we addressed it's been about a year since we were out there investigating, and we do feed that there. So, and we have a monitor in the ground there, and we've never had issues, except that one complaint.
Just say thank you for jumping on this and getting onto this to solve this problem.
Okay. We hope we've addressed it. If we haven't, we want to hear, so.
I believe you will.
And that's one good thing about having the public comment period, is that's how
We
we
didn't
found
know.
out. I mean, if people don't tell us, then we don't know there's a problem, because you were already feeding that chemical, and it just wasn't working.
Correct.
And you had all the broken infrastructure.
We see we're under the average and we think we're okay, but those spikes, we see the spikes, we don't know how bad they are. So when you complain about the spikes, I'm going to look at it, so. Okay.
Thank you for your work.
Good job.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mr. Sugg, I believe you're in the batter's box.
I'll be happy to do that. Is Mr. Leonard?
No, I'm sorry, you're on deck.
Yeah,
Mr. Leonard's in
14.
the batter's box, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'll try my best to be brief. For your consideration tonight, you have in your packets 2 agreements between the NCDOT and the City of Asheboro to authorize the city manager to execute the necessary documents concerning the project U-5743. And this is the NC Highway 42 widening project. And action will be required for each agreement. The first agreement is for the wet utilities, which is considered in the agreement adjustments and betterments to the water and sewer lines impacted by the widening of the NC 42, and is for the amount of $847,194.37. $27,300.07 of which is for project engineering, and $819,894.30 for construction. Staff anticipates this to be invoiced and budgeted in the 26-27 fiscal year. And this is for basically the movement of multiple water and sewer lines that are in the 42 between Salisbury and Dixie Drive. And staff recommends approval of this agreement.
Okay. Council, we have questions?
Is this our share of this?
This
Is
will
it-
be our share, yes.
So what's the bigger cost? If this is our share?
I'm not aware what,
remember
yeah,
what the total
I don't know what the
project
total cost of the project is.
Well, that's okay.
Something in my mind, Trevor may remember better than I did, but I was thinking it was a $15 million project.
I was gonna say, usually we have to pay, what, 20%? 25%? Yeah, okay. All right, just
Don't hold
wanted-
me to that number, but I'd have to go back
Yeah,
and
I was just
research.
curious as to, so this is our share?
Yes, this is our share, yes, ma'am.
In other words, we're not paying for the whole thing, we're just
No,
paying,
ma'am,
this
this
is
is
our
just
share
our
of this
share of
big
the water,
project.
yeah.
Just utilities.
Of just the wet,
Yeah.
wet utilities,
Yeah.
yes.
It may have been 16 or 17. I saw that 2 months ago and I can't remember.
That's
I'm
okay,
sorry.
I just wanted to make sure that, you know, this is our share of a much larger project, and
Yes, ma'am.
we've
Yeah.
got to do it, we gotta move the utilities.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve this agreement as presented and authorize the city manager to sign it on the city's behalf.
Motion, and thank you, Ms. Heath. Second. Second, Mr. Burks. Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. This one's a little more palatable. This is, the second agreement is for an addition of sidewalk on both sides of the road, on NC 42. This is for the same area, from East Salisbury Street to Dixie Drive. The total estimated cost for construction is $352,123.80, and the NCDOT is participating with a 90-10 match, so they're expecting a 10% match, leaving the city's 10% match as $35,212.38. Staff also anticipates this to be invoiced and budgeted in the 26-27 fiscal year and recommends approval of this agreement.
Questions?
I move we accept this, we approve this agreement as presented.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pugh. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Sugg.
Yes, sir. This pertains to the elevated water tank on Highway 49 South. There's already equipment there. It's electronic communications equipment, wireless. The lessee or proposed lessee is New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. It's actually AT&T. This took a while. It was advertised according to statute to be considered at the December meeting. So you are in compliance with the statute. We had some confusion that broke out that goes all the way back to when a Baby Bell was spun off and then a third party bought, and AT&T still has a site there. So we had an agreement, they had an agreement, they weren't exactly the same. So it was resolved that we had to get a new one. Under the agreement that AT&T had recognized, they began making payments to us in midway through 2024 for the equipment they still have there. Mind you, some equipment had been removed from what they had sold off. That was gone. They're the only ones there at this point as far as the vendor or a commercial entity. To come to an agreement, we locked in at what they moved to in mid-2024 for 5 years. And what we locked into at that amount is proposed is $3,017.04. That's the annual rental. That will be good from the effective date of the agreement, which is the date of the last signature on there. AT&T has signed at this point. And so you have in front of you a resolution that would approve the draft agreement that they have signed. I will add that that's for 5 years at that rate. At the end of the 5 years, they get with a first extension term, which is another 5 years, but there's a 15% escalation clause in there so that the rent automatically goes up $452.56 per month. At the end of that 5-year extension term, there's a second extension term for another 5 years. So we're talking about a total of 15 years. When they enter that second extension terms, the 15% escalation clause kicks in again. So at that point, it'll move up by $520.44 a month. And so they are amenable, and it matches with the standardized agreements the city has started using to make sure that Mr. Roney's crews are able to get access and that they have to move equipment if we have an emergency where the city utilities need to take action to preserve public water supply and distribution. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, but you would be approving that. It's been determined, since the equipment's already there, the city will not need, which is one of the findings you have to make, that the city will not need that area on there. We're talking about roughly 351 square feet on the water tank premises. And part of the advertisement was to invite people to come and give comment if they want to. So in addition to me answering questions, if you will, to invite any questions the public or comments the public may have.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to make a comment? Please come up. Or counsel, do you have any further questions?
Jeff, do they pay us monthly or annually?
Monthly. And in fact, AT&T pays 2 checks. They pay for one on the South Church Street elevated water tank and one for this one. But they combine it into a single payment per month.
Okay, council, any questions? We entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll move that we approve the proposed lease agreement as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. Second.
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion, all opposed? Motion carries. We're on to 16. Okay, council, y'all have seen the applications for the open seat on city council. I know it got discussed not as a group, but in our briefings. It was gone over, and I will ask if there are any questions, or or if somebody would like to make a motion.
Mayor, I'll address this. You know, every applicant that we had was well qualified. We had some really good applicants that were out there, and would probably have been okay with just any of them. Any one of them would have filled the role as capably as any of us sitting up here at this table today. But one in particular stood out to me. This person's, as somebody said, had the best Rolodex. But anyway, but this candidate applicant, he brings a lot of experience in public service, public affairs, civic engagement at the local, state, and federal levels. Previously worked in the offices of Congressman Dan Bishop, and Dan currently serves as the United States Attorney for the Middle District of North Carolina. And also worked with Congressman Richard Hudson, who is North Carolina's highest-ranking Republican member of the U.S. House of Representatives. In his role, he assisted constituents, engaged nonprofits, worked with active duty service members, veterans, and first responders, and supported federal initiatives across more than 15 counties and more than 30 municipalities throughout North Carolina. This applicant is an Eagle Scout, very involved in our community, member of the Asheboro Rotary Club. He serves on the America 250 NC Randolph County Committee. He's also active in many civic and political organizations at the local, state, and national levels. He's previously served as the chairman of the Randolph County Young Republicans, where he helped grow this organization, and he's received many awards for his work there. He currently serves as the national committeeman for the North Carolina Federation of Young Republicans and sits on the organization's national executive board. And did let me know that his first job when he was in high school was with the Cultural and Recreational Department here in the city of Asheboro. So with that said, I would like to recommend that we approve Cam Mills to serve the remainder of your council term.
Okay. And I take that as a motion.
That is a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion. Thank you, Mr. Heath. A second. Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Any further discussions, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Mr. Mills. We will look forward to swearing you in at our March meeting. Okay? Okay, here's the fun part. We're not supposed to read these events that are, if we got that slide. Or did you? It's in our packet.
We've got a copy.
Oh, okay.
We've got a copy.
Well, obviously I didn't get
You don't
that.
have to read it.
I don't have to read it. I would like to share that our city manager is having a birthday coming up on the 17th, I believe it is.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
February 10th.
Yeah. Yep.
I do have a list of things that are coming up that's probably pretty important.
Okay.
On February the 11th, we do have training for staff for the First Amendment auditors. That'll be from noon until 4. Council's welcome to join. We're going to feed and have a guest presenter. Deborah Bechtel, who we've contracted with as outside counsel, she's going to come and teach a class. She teaches all over the state. It'll be good for our staff to hear it. February 13th, we're traveling to Burlington to see the new potential treatment system for PFAS and PFOS. And then on February 17th, we have our call meeting, special call meeting to review the results from the system development fees. That'll be at night, and that's at the police station, North Asheboro Police Station. And we'll also have a meal at 5, and the meeting kicks off at 5:30. February 20th, we have our Daily Bread annual fundraiser. Council has a table there, and you're welcome to bring your guests. Let me know so we can RSVP. We did arrange to have 2 tables for them. And then 23rd is briefing day for the month. It's a little early this year because it's February, so. And that's all I have of major upcoming events. That's on my list. So full next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to add anything before we move on?
There's one more birthday, Michael Leonard, on February 12th. So happy birthday to you.
A lot of great people. in the-
You and Lincoln.
Great people born in that. In February on. Sure, her wife agrees with that, doesn't she? Okay, we are gonna move on. I'm gonna entertain a motion to go into closed session, discuss business expansion, and to give city staff instructions, and to discuss, personnel matter. You said earlier, Jeff, you wrote it out for me and laid it over here somewhere.
Here it is.
Okay. I'm gonna follow the rules, Jeff. We're gonna go to closed session to discuss a business expansion, location issue, give city staff instructions about negotiable property acquisition contract terms, and to consider the qualifications of candidates to serve as the next city attorney. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move we go into closed session to discuss a business expansion location issue, give city staff instructions about negotiable property acquisition contract terms, and to consider the qualifications of candidates to serve as our next city attorney.
May I ask that it may be good to invite your newest council member in to just observe because he may be acting on a future decision, and we'll be brief him if he's able to stay.
No,
No?
I'm sorry. We're getting into a personnel matter, and until he's sworn in. Now, if you wanted to swear him in, the clerk is adept at knowing the oath. They can have it. If you want to swear him in, he can, but
I think you'd probably want family and friends present for that.
until he's actually sworn in, he can't be part of a person, that's private, that's a
All
protected
the
matter.
economic development one?
Theoretically, yes, it'd be better for not.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get you caught up in briefings. Okay. All right. I've got a motion.
Second that motion.
Second, Mr. Cheek, motion by Mr. Burks. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in closed session.
I got interviews in the morning from home, but later I'll be.
No, we're gonna adjourn. We're not going to adjourn.